I'm standing in the driveway of the house I grew up in, backpack slung over one shoulder, tears streaming down my face, while my older sister Emily stands on the porch with her arms crossed, smirking like she'd just won the lottery. "Good riddance, loser," she calls out, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "Don't come crawling back when you're sleeping under a bridge." My mom just looks away, ashamed, but silent. And Dad wasn't there anymore. He'd passed 6 months earlier, and this was the day they decided I wasn't part of the family anymore. Can you even imagine that kind of betrayal? Your own flesh and blood treating you like trash the second there's money involved? My name's Sarah. I was 24 when this happened. And what Emily didn't know, what none of them knew, was that in that moment, as I walked away with literally nothing but the clothes on my back, I made a promise to myself. One day she'd regret every single word. Buckle up, because this is the story of how my entitled sister lost everything she thought was already hers, thanks to the one quiet move I'd been planning since the day Dad took his last breath. Let me take you back to the beginning, so you really feel how deep this cut. Growing up, Emily was always the golden child. 2 years older, prettier, louder, more outgoing. Teachers loved her, coaches praised her. Mom and Dad beamed every time she walked into a room. Me, I was the quiet one, the bookworm, the one who helped Dad in the garage on weekends, handing him tools while he fixed up old cars, the one who sat with him in the hospital during his final months, holding his hand when the chemo made him too weak to speak. Dad and I had a bond Emily never bothered to build. She was always out with friends, partying, spending the allowance Dad gave her on clothes and makeup. But Dad saw me. He knew I was the responsible one, the one who'd actually listen when he talked about his dreams, his regrets, his plans for the future. He built his construction company from nothing. Started with one truck and a toolbox, ended up with contracts all over the state. By the time he got sick, the business was worth millions. And that didn't even include the house, the investment accounts, the rental properties. Emily assumed it would all go to her and Mom. After all, she was the favorite, right? Wrong. Dad and I had long talks in that hospital room. He told me things he'd never told anyone else. About how worried he was that Emily would blow through the money in a year. How she already had credit card debt she hid from everyone. How Mom was too soft to ever say no to her. "Sarah," he whispered one night, voice raspy from the treatments. "I need you to promise me something." "Anything, Dad. I'm changing the will. Most of it, 90%, is going into a trust. You'll be the sole trustee. Emily and your mom get monthly allowances, enough to live comfortably. But the principal stays protected. I need you to make sure it's handled right." I was stunned. "Dad, Emily's going to lose her mind." He gave me that tired smile. "That's why I'm not telling them until it's done. The lawyer's coming tomorrow. You'll control distributions for big purchases, investments, everything. It's the only way to protect what I built." I cried that night. Not because of the responsibility, because he trusted me that much. The next day, he signed the new will. I was there. The lawyer notarized it. Dad passed 2 weeks later, peaceful, knowing his legacy was safe. But here's where everything went wrong. Emily and Mom assumed the old will was still in place. The one Dad made 10 years earlier, splitting everything equally between Mom, Emily, and me. They never knew about the trust. At the funeral, Emily pulled me aside. "Listen, Sarah," she said, fake sympathetic tears in her eyes. "Mom and I were talking. Since you're still in college and don't have a real job yet, maybe it's better if we buy out your share of the house. We'll give you 50 grand and you can go find your own place." 50 grand. For a third of a company worth over 4 million, plus properties. I almost laughed. "I'll think about it." But inside, my blood was boiling. Then came the real kicker. 3 months after Dad died, I was still living at home, trying to finish my degree online while grieving. Money was tight, because Dad's life insurance went straight into the trust I now controlled. But no one knew that yet. Emily started bringing her boyfriend Chad around constantly. Chad was the kind of guy who wore sunglasses indoors and called everyone bro. They were planning their wedding, talking about buying a bigger house, taking luxury vacations. One night I overheard them in the kitchen. Once we get Sarah out, Emily whispered, we can sell this place and upgrade. She'll take whatever we offer. She's got nowhere else to go. Chad laughed. Your little sister's kinda pathetic, huh? Still moping around like the world's ending. That was the moment something snapped inside me. The next morning, Mom sat me down. Sarah, honey, Emily and I think it's time you moved out. You're an adult now, and we need our space. We'll help you find an apartment. We'll even pay the first month's rent. Translation: get out so we can live the high life with Dad's money. I looked Mom dead in the eye. You sure that's what you want? She wouldn't meet my gaze. It's for the best. Emily stood behind her, smirking again. That's when they said the words that still ring in my ears. Emily actually laughed. Come on, Sarah. You're never going to amount to anything staying here. Go live your little life. We'll be fine. Fine. Okay. I packed my bag that day. Took only what was mine. Some clothes, my laptop, a few books Dad gave me. As I walked down the driveway, Emily yelled that parting shot. Good riddance, loser. I didn't turn around, but I smiled, because the probate process was about to finish. The will was about to be read, and they had no idea what was coming. I crashed on a friend's couch for a few weeks, worked double shifts at a coffee shop to save up for a tiny studio apartment. It was humiliating, going from a big family home to a 400-square-foot box with leaky faucets. Every night I'd lie awake thinking about Emily and Chad probably popping champagne in Dad's house, planning their future on money they thought was already theirs. But I had the trust documents. I had the lawyer's number. I had power they couldn't even imagine. The will reading was scheduled for 6 months after Dad's death. Standard probate delay. I waited. I didn't call, didn't text, didn't reach out once. Let them think I'd disappeared. Let them think they'd won. Meanwhile, I finished my degree early. Got a job offer at a financial planning firm. Entry-level, but solid. Started rebuilding. And I met with Dad's lawyer, Mr. Henderson, every month. Quietly transferred the company leadership to a trusted manager Dad had groomed. Made sure the rental properties kept generating income. Watched the trust grow. Emily texted me once, 3 months after I left. Hey, probate's almost done. You should come to the reading so we can settle everything fairly. I left her on red. The day of the reading arrived. I showed up in a tailored suit I'd bought with my own paycheck. Hair done. Makeup perfect. Looking like the professional I was becoming. Emily opened the door, did a double take. Sarah? Wow, you look different. Mom hugged me awkwardly. Chad just stared. We all sat in Mr. Henderson's office. He began reading the will. The early parts were standard, some charitable donations, personal items to friends. Then he got to the main estate. The remainder of my estate, including the business, real estate holdings, and investment accounts, shall be placed into the James Family Trust. My daughter Sarah Thompson shall serve as sole trustee with full discretionary control over distributions. You could have heard a pin drop. Emily's face went white. What? That can't be right. Dad's old will split everything 3 ways. Mr. Henderson continued calmly. This document was signed and witnessed 6 weeks before Mr. Thompson's passing. It supersedes all prior wills. Mom started crying. But Sarah's just a kid. She can't... I can, I said quietly. And I am. Emily exploded. This is bullshit. Dad would never... He did. I cut her off. My voice was steady. Ice cold. Because he knew exactly what you'd do with unrestricted access. He told me everything, Emily. How you'd already maxed out 3 credit cards. How you dropped out of college twice. How you thought money grew on trees. Chad tried to jump in. Now wait a minute. No, I said. You wait. The trust provides Mom with a generous monthly allowance. Enough for the house payment, utilities, groceries, even some extras. Emily gets $3,000 a month. That's more than I made working 2 jobs while living in my car for a week. Emily was shaking. 3,000? That's nothing. We were going to... Going to what? I asked. Buy a yacht? Vacation in Bali? Sorry, not happening. Mr. Henderson slid papers across the table. Sarah controls all major distributions. Any purchase over $10,000 requires her approval. The principal remains protected. Emily lunged across the table. You planned this. You manipulated Dad when he was sick. I didn't flinch. Dad was perfectly lucid. We have medical records proving it, and video. He recorded a statement explaining his reasons. I didn't actually have video, but she didn't know that. She collapsed back into her chair, sobbing. Mom just stared at the floor. And me? I felt nothing for them, but everything for Dad. He was right. Within a year, Emily burned through her allowance on designer bags, parties, trying to keep up appearances. She begged for advances. I said no. Chad left her when the money dried up. Mom's health declined from the stress. I increased her allowance quietly because she was still my mother, but Emily never knew. Emily ended up moving into a cheap apartment working retail. Last I heard, she was engaged to some guy who drives for Uber. Meanwhile, I grew the company. Invested wisely. The trust is worth more now than when Dad left it. I bought my own house, traveled, built the life he wanted for me. Sometimes people ask if I feel guilty. Do I regret cutting my sister off from millions she thought she'd get? Not for a second. She laughed when I left with nothing. She mocked me when I was at my lowest. She showed me exactly who she was, and I simply honored Dad's final wish. Blood doesn't entitle you to anything. Character does. Did this one give you that satisfying chill? But wait, there's more to this story. Because Emily didn't go quietly. Oh no, she fought. For years. The first big battle came 6 months after the will reading. Emily hired a lawyer, some ambulance chaser who promised he could break the trust. They filed a contest, claiming Dad was unduly influenced by me during his illness. I wasn't worried. We had everything. Hospital visitor logs showing Emily barely came by, while I was there almost daily. Dad's medical records confirming mental competency. The lawyer's notes. Even texts from Dad to me discussing the changes. The judge threw it out in under 30 minutes. Emily had to pay court costs. That was the first taste of real consequences. Then came the wedding. Emily still tried to have her dream wedding, booked a venue that cost $40,000. Came to me hat in hand. Please, Sarah, it's my wedding. Dad wanted you to be responsible, I said. You can have a beautiful wedding on your allowance, or scale it down. She called me every name in the book. Ended up with a backyard ceremony. 50 guests instead of 200. Chad complained constantly about living like peasants. He was gone within a year. Mom tried to play peacemaker. Constant phone calls. She's your sister. Family forgives. But forgiveness doesn't mean enabling. I helped Mom when she really needed it. Paid for her knee replacement when insurance wouldn't cover everything. Made sure she kept the house. Emily? She got exactly what the trust allowed. Nothing more, nothing less. There was one moment, I'll never forget it. 2 years after Dad passed, Emily showed up at my new apartment unannounced. She looked broken, no makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, wearing clothes from Target. Can I come in? I let her. She sat on my couch, stared at her hands. I get it now, she whispered. Why Dad did it. I was awful. To him, to you. I waited. I'm sorry, Sarah, for everything. The laughing, the kicking you out, all of it. Part of me wanted to hug her. The other part remembered her smirk on the porch. What do you want, Emily? She started crying. I need help. My car's about to be repossessed. If I lose my job... I wrote her a check, $5,000. One time, but this doesn't change anything, I said. The trust stays as is. You get your monthly allowance. That's it. She nodded, took the check, left. We haven't spoken since. Some people think revenge means screaming, fighting, destroying someone's life publicly. But sometimes, the most powerful revenge is quiet. It's boundaries. It's consequences. It's letting someone face the reality of their choices. Dad didn't disinherit Emily completely. He gave her enough to live well if she learned to budget. She never did. And that's on her. I visit Dad's grave every year on his birthday. I bring flowers. Tell him about the company, how the trust grew another 18% last quarter, how I'm engaged now, to a man who loves me for me, not money. How Mom's doing better, gardening again. I always end the same way. You were right, Dad, about everything. Then I drive home to the life he protected, the life Emily thought she'd take. Sometimes karma doesn't scream. It just waits. And when it arrives, it's perfect. Did this one give you that satisfying chill? But let me tell you about the moment that truly sealed it. The one that made the revenge complete. It was 4 years after Dad's death. I'd just closed a major deal that valued the company at over $7 million. I was being profiled in a local business magazine. Young entrepreneur honors father's legacy. Emily saw it. She called me that night, the first time in 2 years. Her voice was different, small. Did you see the article? I did. Silence. Then, I'm proud of you, Sarah. I almost dropped the phone. What? I mean it. You did what Dad always knew you could. I was jealous, scared, stupid. I thought if I pushed you away, I'd get more. But I lost everything that actually mattered. I didn't know what to say. She continued. I started therapy, got a better job. I'm saving now, living within my means. It's hard, but I'm okay. I swallowed hard. I'm glad, Emily. Maybe it's someday a coffee? Maybe, I said. Someday. We hung up. I cried that night, not from anger, from relief, because revenge isn't about destroying someone forever. Sometimes it's about letting them grow from the consequences. Emily's learning. Slowly, painfully. But she's learning. And me? I'm living proof that being underestimated can be the greatest gift. They laughed when I left with nothing, but I walked away with everything that mattered. Dad's trust, his love, his legacy, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing justice was served. Not with screams or lawsuits or drama, but with silence, with patience, with honor. So if you're out there right now, feeling kicked down by family who should have your back, hold on. Your moment is coming. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's living well. It's protecting what was entrusted to you. It's becoming the person they never believed you could be, and watching them realize, too late, what they lost. Not just the money, but you. Did this one give you that satisfying chill? I want to add one final detail, the one that makes this story truly epic. Last Christmas, Mom invited me to the old house for dinner. First time I'd been back in years. Everything looked the same, but smaller somehow. Emily was there too. We were awkward at first. Sat across from each other at the dining table where we used to fight over the last dinner roll as kids. Mom served Dad's favorite lasagna. Halfway through dinner, Emily raised her glass. To Dad, she said. And to Sarah, for protecting what he built. Even when it meant protecting it from me. Mom teared up. I nodded, throat tight. We didn't hug. We didn't need to. Some wounds heal slowly. Some bridges rebuild one careful plank at a time. But in that moment, I felt Dad smiling. He got exactly what he wanted. His money didn't destroy his family. It saved it, by forcing us all to grow. Emily's engaged now, to a nice guy who treats her well. She's paying her own bills, saving for a house. Mom's happy, gardening, volunteering. And me? I'm running a company worth twice what it was when Dad left. Mentoring young women in business. Paying it forward. The trust is still there, still protected. But now, I know it'll be okay no matter what. Because the real inheritance wasn't the money. It was the lesson. Character over entitlement. Responsibility over greed. Love over manipulation. Emily learned it the hard way. I learned it through pain. But we both learned. And that's the most satisfying revenge of all. Not taking everything from someone who hurt you, but watching them become someone better because they lost it. Did this one give you that satisfying chill?